Stirring the coffee with one lonely chopstick using the vortex method, the only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee on a Monday morning. At the molecular level. Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, coffee. Black Rifle coffee in the unstuck coffee mug. Nice. Remember my 2-week run of bad coffee. I think everyone needs to do a week of bad coffee so you can appreciate the good coffee. A little metaphor for relationships there. Men need to be fed daily. First, their bellies. Secondly, their imaginations. A man whose imagination doesn't get fed gets into trouble. There needs to be things going on up here at all times. How to make money, how to expand, how to get into shape, how to make myself more attractive, how to expand my coastline, how to increase my receptor sites. Not a bad goal, not a bad thing for your to-do list. Is it true you get your daily exercise from swimming in a pool of excuses? I used to be like that a long time ago. I'll never forget, and I'm talking 40 years ago. I needed to get something done, and my dad said something like, well, did you do X, Y, Z? And I gave some excuse. And then he walked away going, excuses, excuses. He had a couple different ways of reacting. He could react like this, or sometimes he would react by just shaking his head and saying a couple of words. Which I'll never forget when I was married, if I forgot something. And this is the beauty of a good spouse, or the ugliness of a bad spouse. I remember my ex-wife would say things like, and she would do that too, that little 2-word thing. If I forgot something, omitted something, she would go, details, details. But it wasn't nagging. It sounds like it's nagging, and it taught me that details are important. And she taught me a lesson every time she would say, details, details. Back when we used to pay bills with checks. Not electronically. I would forget the date or something. And then the company would send the bill and the check back because I left out the date. And then I'd get a late fee. And then she'd say, details, details. And that actually prompted me to become a little more detail-oriented in my life. As much as it sounds like nagging, it's not. It was a prompt. Wisdom is knowing the difference between a prompt and nagging. And that goes for receiving it and giving it. There's a way of encouraging people to do things without nagging them. And it's magical when it happens. Things get done. Having an encouraging partner, a prompting partner versus a nagging partner. There I go again with that word partner. I'm trying to erase that. That was from the days when I really did not believe in marriage. And that was post-divorce. I'm not into this partner business. I'd rather have a wife or a girlfriend. None of this partner stuff. People think that they are... There's a reason why people say partner. And I don't like those reasons. Because they're too afraid to get married. Or it sounds a little more sophisticated and adult than just girlfriend or boyfriend. I'm going back to old school, and I like it better than my own reinterpretation of things. I don't need to put new meanings and definitions on things. The old definitions are good. I like them. I like wife. I like husband. So if you have a partner and you have kids, if you have children, do you just call them offspring? Yes, I have 2 female offspring and 1 male offspring with my partner. Hey, you want to make it robotic and soulless? Take it all the way. Be consistent. I have a wife, or I had a wife, and I have children that I love. Biologically, they are offspring, but I have a daughter. She's female. I have 2 sons. They're male. And it's wonderful, and it's beautiful, and they're not mistakes, and they're perfect in my sight. When all else fails, create a disease that kills children. First of all, you can get a really bad flu. Now we're wearing masks. It's more than the flu, George. Shut up. I know that. No one is saying that it isn't. But it affects people with pre-existing conditions. Mostly. The flu already killed way more people than the you-know-what did. But now, because it's not working and people are waking up, and people are giving the big middle finger to masks and lockdowns and quarantine, what do they say? When sick people wear masks, it's called quarantine. When healthy people wear them, it's called tyranny. Reminds me of the Thomas Jefferson quote. When people are afraid of the government, it's called tyranny. When the government's afraid of the people, it's called liberty. So now, I remember many years ago, if you do it for the children, that would justify everything. Yeah, but do it for the children. And people just all of a sudden get guilty consciences. Well, we already know there's a certain Democratic Party, the one that I left many years ago, that loves killing children. They defend abortion. I don't. Abortion is murder. Period. Period. There's no, it's murder. But do it for the children? You say this out of one side of your mouth and kill millions out of the other side of your mouth? That's the biggest reason why I left the Democrat Party. The Republican Party, children are important, but yet we're bombing villages with children? Come on, man. I didn't jump from one shitty party to a great party. I went from one shitty party to another shitty party. And I can't stand either one of them. And neither should you. And don't defend them. So here's the deal. The you-know-what isn't working the way they want. One of my followers, RN, says it's happening. Acute flaccid myelitis, similar to polio. Kids wake up not feeling their legs or can't walk or something to that effect. It's happened to a couple people. So now we have to scare them out of sending their kids to school. Holy crap. Do it for the children. 3 months of fucking lockdown didn't work. And all the shaming and mask holes everywhere. But do it for the children. Your children just blew up in your arms. I had an infant. He started coughing and then he blew up. It's going to have to get to that point to hype things up enough. And there are people who only respond to fear. They live by that because they turn on the fear delivery system, which is a radio or a television. I was talking to my friend Scott Ott yesterday. Scott, you know Scott Ott from Scrappleface. He had millions of followers before YouTube even existed. Millions. Wrote satire. Brilliant guy. Christian dude. I've known Scott for close to 2 decades now. Do you know Scott Ott? He is 1/3 of the show called Right Angle with Bill Whittle. He is Bill Whittle's business partner, co-host. Brilliant minds. Just brilliant. Had a great talk with Scott yesterday. And he's great at pointing out these strange, what would you call them? Contradictions would be the word. He was Babylon Bee in The Onion before there was a such thing as Babylon Bee and The Onion. And he said to me yesterday, yes, I don't do satire much anymore. Scott, that was one of your sweet spots. Seriously, you're so good at it. I'm just saying, if you're watching this today, It was great connecting with an old friend. I did a beard consultation with him. And I'll tell you about my beard consultations. I have done beard and haircut consultations, style consultations from the shoulders up. And I do them via Skype. And I've done them for years. I never really marketed that. And he says, why don't you do that? And I said, you know what? That's really a good idea. So I'm going to start doing that. Beard, hair, basically shoulders up consultations. Tanner Guzzi does consultations with people, I would say, from the shoulders down. I do consultations with people from the shoulders up, style-wise. So I will be doing that. I got to figure out how to put that on a website where you can just go to the website, order it, check it off, pay, and then schedule the Skype session to help you look the best that you can be when it comes to your hair and your beard. Because I've done this for over 40 years. Pretty cool, huh? This is why I always like to say, have a trade. I went to college, I went to graduate school, I have 1,000 continuing hours after my master's degree. I taught in my first college when I was 27 years old. I was in a lecture hall teaching 250 students psychology. I created a college course called The Psychology of Career Development. I did that for a long time, till I was in my mid-40s. But I also had a trade. It's not have a profession or have a trade. You can do both. One is, like my dad would say, it's a great fallback. Cutting hair is the perfect part-time job. I love that. This was interesting. I was the first person in my family to go to college. I think this tangent's going to be worth it for some of you to hear. First person in my family to go to college. And I remember getting accepted into college, my grandfather said, and it was for criminal justice. Because I wanted to get into the minds of criminals. Don't know why, it was just a desire of mine. And I worked in the forensic system. I did my internships at the New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services, evaluating the psychological conditions of potential parolees. Can they be let out? And I was the guy that was helping determine their mental status so they could go back out in society under supervision and finish their sentence under supervision. That was my internship when I was in college. But my grandfather, this is a great story. He said, good that you got accepted into college. And these next words that I'm going to say changed my life. My grandfather was a man of few words. Big, strong hands, worked on the railroad. He said, but always have something you can do with your hands. Go to college, get your education, do whatever you want academically, but always have something you can do with your hands. I will never forget that, and I'm passing that on to you. The answer to your career is not get another degree, another certification. Well, maybe I'll go back for a master's degree. It's not going to make you more money. I used to say I wanted to have my PhD by 30. I want to have my PhD by 40. I want to have my PhD by 50, and I just could not justify it. I couldn't for my life. I couldn't do it. So I have a master's and a lot of continuing ed hours after that, which really equipped me to make a great living and create a great life for myself. But cutting hair part-time. No matter how much academics you want, always have, here's my grandfather, always have something you can do with your hands. What can you do with your hands? Can you lay brick? Are you a carpenter? Can you weld? Can you build? Can you fix cars? Can you fix engines, motors? Can you wire things? Can you cut hair? Think about the trades. Make trades great again. Everybody. This was the problem that I had. People graduate from college and can't do anything. Can't do anything. They can tell you about the sociology of gender, but they can't do anything. Anything that happens around this house, I can fix. Anything that happens with my car, I can fix. If I don't feel like doing it, I'll pay someone to do it. But I'm never backed into a corner mechanically Never. So I learned a trade. And guess what trade I learned? My family trade. My father cuts hair. My mother was a beautician. She cuts hair. It's natural for me. Cutting hair is in my blood. And my dad, who's in his mid-80s, still cuts hair every single day. Every day. You don't see a lot of old beauticians, but you do see a lot of old barbers. The old barbers will die with clippers in their hands. And it's their pleasure to do so. Barbers rarely retire because they like what they do. It's social. It's purposeful. They get paid for it. When you get old and you don't need the money, like my dad says, I don't need the money. He says, I just enjoy doing what I'm doing. You know, when you're younger, you do everything for the money. When you're older, don't retire. Do not retire. Have a trade that you can do till the day you die. This is the news about my father when he leaves this world. This is what's going to happen. People, I can see people at the funeral saying, oh my God, he cut my hair that morning. Now, some of you might think that's very sad. I get a smirk on my face because my dad never retired. He worked till he died, but he didn't grind and hurt himself and have to make money and so he could keep the lights on. It wasn't like that. He works to be social. He works to put some money in his pocket. Guy never touches his savings because all his, what do some people call it? Pocket money, FU money, something like that. So he takes his trips. He does his things with my mom with money he gets from cutting hair in his mid-80s. And there will be people that said, oh, I'm sorry to hear about your dad. You know, he cut my hair just the day before he passed. You will not hear that kind of commentary about beauticians, but you will hear that about barbers. Listen, in a year to a year and a half, you can get a barber license at a barber school or take an apprenticeship, and you could be dropped off. They could put a blindfold on you, a parachute on your back, drop you off anywhere in the country, and by the end of the day, you'll be making money. You won't be making a lot of money, but you will be making money. Cutting hair is a great trade. So always have something you can do with your hands. I've said this before, that half the bearded guys on Instagram are using it as a dating site to attract other men. Hey man, do your thing. Do your thing. How do I know? Because I lost track of how many dudes direct messaged me over the years saying, are you into guys? Trolling for boyfriends. Men trolling for boyfriends. So you see guys on Instagram, you know, half naked, great beard, 1 million likes, thumbs up. You know what? I couldn't leave that beard community fast enough. Honestly, I couldn't leave it fast enough. And I'm going to talk with some leaders in the beard community about that to see what their experience is. I'm on Instagram. I'm on social media for business. Business. Making money, making a living, supporting my family. That's why I'm on social media. I don't need dopamine hits. I don't need the thrill of seeing likes, thumbs up. I don't care about that. I'm there for business. And if those likes and thumbs up convert into income, I'm happy. Because that's what I'm there for. You know, it's so funny when people say, you're just in it for the money. Well, no shit, Sherlock. No shit. What do you do for a living? You're just in it for the money, right? Do you know the Etta James song, At Last? Replace the word love with divorce. At last, my divorce has come along. My lonely days are over, and life is like a song. For some people, getting divorced is a good thing. I'm pro-divorce if the marriage never should have taken place in the first place. Well, it sounds like you're trying to split people up. No, I'm not. I just don't believe that everyone who has rings on their fingers should have even gone to the altar in the first place. You get married for the wrong reasons, and you get married too fast because you're impulsive. That's a marriage that shouldn't have ever happened. So I'm all about ending that, especially if you're not growing. Yeah, but what God has joined together, let no man put asunder. Thank you for mentioning that, because I don't actually believe that God has brought together every single marriage. And if God didn't bring that marriage together, you can't wave a magic Jesus wand over, or the magic chopstick. You can't wave the magic chopstick over a bad marriage that never should have happened and make it holy. That doesn't happen. Can it happen? Sure, of course. But what I'm saying is, with the what God has joined together, let no man put asunder, I'm not so sure that every marriage that is having problems right now is one that God put together. So I'm all for the putting asunder part. Wow. I'm the only one I know that says that. Men, stop rebooting your life every 10 years because of a woman. You don't have to do it. You get a pass for the first one. Half a pass for the second one. No pass for the third one. Stop rebooting. You know how you have to stop your computer, turn it off, unplug it, wait 60 seconds, plug it back in. Your life is not a PC or a router. You can't reboot that crap. There's no restart button. Just don't do it, dude. Don't do it. Stop it. Democrats don't want to give Americans stimulus unemployment money or tax cuts, but they want to bail out the cities that have been destroyed because they encouraged the riots and the destruction. Scratching my damn head on that one. We'll remember that. Now I'm just waiting for the Republicans to do something stupid too, and I'll remember that. That door swings in both directions, my friends. Here's an unpopular opinion. Not everyone who serves in the military loves America and has its best interest at heart. There's plenty of traitors that wear uniforms. For some, it was only a job, a career, and they assume that they're beyond criticism. John McCain taught me that. Don't be afraid to call out people in the military who don't have America's best interest at heart. John McCain taught me that. People would be so afraid to criticize him. I was never afraid to criticize him. I thought he was a piece of shit and sold America out. You don't buy my vote with service in the military. You don't buy my vote because you experienced this or that. Show me you love the country. Your actions speak louder than your service. I don't want to hear that crap. So let me say this unpopular opinion again. Not everyone who serves in the military loves America and has its best interest at heart. I'm sick and tired of people who are untouchable because of a uniform. And that goes for military and police. Not everyone who's a cop has your best interest in heart. Now, I'm friends with a lot of police officers, a lot. They watch this show. They're friends of mine, personal friends of mine, not just acquaintances, personal friends of mine. When I nail something, I get a text right after this show. This show will upload, I'll get a text. Great job today. I loved how you said this. You described that perfectly. A thumbs up, a little fist bump. I don't protect the barbering or the psychotherapy fields. I was a psychotherapist for over 2 decades. I don't defend every psychotherapist just because I am one. I don't defend every barber because I am one. Hairstylist because I am one. Yes, there are bad stylists, there are bad barbers, there's bad psychotherapists, and there's bad cops, and there's bad military personnel. You're not any less patriotic if you criticize people in uniform. Now, if you make blanket statements using broad brushstrokes to describe an entire demographic of people, and here we get into race, broad brushstrokes are bad. Bad. Back away from the broad brushstrokes and blanket statements. Not all fill in the blank are bad. Some are and should be dealt with accordingly. That's the proper attitude. That's the true meaning of sanity, clarity, and reason. I'm all for putting cameras in every classroom And if that's all you ever push your school officials for, you've done a great job in life. There should be cameras, just like, it's interesting with cops and their body cameras. A lot of people said, a lot of cops objected to that at first because there was an accountability that they never had that they will now get with these body cameras on. Think about this. What about when a police officer was accused of just pick some crime or pick some bad behavior, but his body camera recorded it? That camera that he once cursed now exonerates him and proves that he's innocent. Do you see what happened? See what happened there? How what you thought was going to be bad for you and Big Brother ended up saving your life and your career. Now, cameras in the corner of a classroom. You vet your babysitters more than you vet the teachers that are teaching your children. There are communists and bad people teaching your children if you have kids. Why do you allow that to happen? You don't let your kid out of your sight, but you let them out of your sight when they go to a public school, which are nothing but indoctrination centers. In the same way TVs deliver fear, schools indoctrinate, they no longer educate. They create nice little obedient comrades, don't they? Colleges are even worse. Therefore, put cameras in every classroom, every classroom. They're not private. Schools should not be private. You should be able to, like Joe Schmo just can't log in and watch what any kid is doing, because that's a slippery slope for the pedo culture as well. But think about this. You have a password as a parent. You can log into your child's class at any time, privately, and see what your kid is being taught. Put cameras in every classroom. Every classroom. So I'll mention this again. I am doing hair and facial hair consultations. Direct message me, gb@georgebruno.com, for a 30-minute session if you want a hair and or beard consultation. They're only 30 minutes. You'll save a lot of trouble and heartache and worry about your image in the future. And with that, finish your coffee, and I'll see you tomorrow on the Daybreak Show, your home of sanity, clarity, and reason.
Stirring the coffee with chopsticks using the vortex method. The only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee at the molecular level.